He already took over my hometown of Chicago. It may be part of the reason why I'm wearing the Chicago hat, even though I no longer live there. I'm super excited to talk to my next guest today. You will see him in action taking on Pedro Carvalho on June 28th, live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, just taking over the Midwest from Hawaii to Vegas and a Midwest takeover. The one and only Kai Kamaka. Kai, how are you?
Good, good.
It's been a long time since you and I talked, so I'm happy to sit down in a one-on-one podcast space with you and talk to you. Man, first and foremost, big win over Bubba Jenkins. How'd you feel in that fight?
Um, I felt good. I felt good. Um, yeah, I felt good. I felt everything. I mean, after watching it back, I felt everything that we worked on up until even that week. Added stuff that we added in, because not everything ends up going as planned. But there was things that we worked on, we added in, we even just talked about that worked well in that fight. Um, I felt like I could have did better. I felt like I could have finished stronger. Um, but at least me feeling like that was still better than what he produced.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that being said, taking all of that you felt in that win over Bubba, how is your mindset coming into this fight against Pedro Carvalho? You know it's a guy who's coming for war, and it's going to be an action-packed fight between the two of you.
Um, I mean, it's good. I mean, pick up where you left off, or I mean, just right back to work. Being smart with the approach. Getting healthy in between the fights, and then sharpening up the tools. Uh, Taking any information that I can from guys that fought them, my teammates, and then just yeah, I think I get to show a little bit more different things in my game that I can in this fight.
One thing I want to say about you, Kai, that I've absolutely loved about you for a long time, just watching you throughout your career, is you've never been baited into other people's fights. You've never just been like, all right, screw it, game plan out the window. What is it, especially in the moment, whether you know you're down on the scorecards or you know you got it in the bag, you never veer off from the game plan. What is it about you that you just so focus on the task at hand that you don't get away from the game plan? Because so many fighters do.
For just growth, because I feel like man, you just live and learn with this game. Like, I don't get into vested into like the everybody's talk. Um, yeah, I don't get into invest into anybody's talk, anybody's anybody's fight, like you say. Like, I just worry about myself. I'm worried about how I can get better in every fight, what my coaches tell me to do. And yeah, I just listen to my coaches. um I study a lot. So I mean, I try not to waste all that. I try not to waste the training. I try not to waste the time that I study, and just the time period that I put into the training. Because yeah, I mean, I've done that though. I've done where I've not I've never followed the game plan. Like, some people, like, may not be obvious, but there was times where I didn't follow the game plan at all, and or I just didn't listen. Not and it may not have been visible, but there was times where I have. And like the my last loss, Justin Gonzalez, like I've totally underperformed in that fight. Just letting the aspect, like the home aspect, Bellator being Hawaii, I just wanted to walk him down, and kind of, I wasn't even listening to my coaches at all. I mean, just growing pains, man, in this game. And from that point on, another part in my career where I had to dial in even more.
Well, I commend you because it's not usually that obvious. Because I think you are one of the most mature fighters, not just in your weight class, but in any promotion at any weight class. I think I love watching you fight because it just seems like you're so calculated in there. You're so focused, and it's great because I knew coming into this interview that I was gonna say, and I was gonna ask you about this on the surface, which obviously that's saying a lot about me. If you're just going off of what you share about yourself, it's Kai Kamaka is a family man and a fighting man. And those are the main two things that you focus on. Is that
Yeah.
pretty accurate?
it's pretty accurate. I mean, so I got enough people in my household that that's all I can worry about is fighting and family. I don't, and luckily, my wife loves watching fights. That's what we look forward to on the weekends. My kids do jujitsu, so luckily, my schedule works out to where like that's all we can do. I mean, um, because man, this lifestyle, this lifestyle and career takes a lot out of takes a lot of time, or at least for what it takes for me to be successful, I have to put so much time into it, like so like everything has to go into it. And I do take my little breaks. I mean, but my that's just my kids. Like so that is my break. That is um my mental break from what I do. But that might be just watching them do jujitsu. That might be coaching them or giving them some doing stuff for them.
It's nonstop, and I commend you for. I think that's absolutely amazing of you, and I love that. If I could have that that life, maybe not the fighter side, but if I could have that life with the family I have around me, that'd be great. But I'm not as lucky as you. One thing I loved coming into the Chicago fight, and part of being in PFL, they did a lot of the social media work and allowing the fans to get to know you a little bit more. They did that work for you, and you talked about your favorite tattoo, and it was the Fighting Hawaiian, which is obviously your nickname. Outside of your family and your career, I know your heritage and being Hawaiian and being from Hawaii, that means a lot to you. Can you kind of talk to me about how that kind of drives you through your career?
As a kid growing up, I grew up in a good transition to where um my family was like what is it called? They were like I would say my uncles were like Hawaiian pioneers for MMA. So I was probably one of those kids where you see growing up to where if these guys kids stick with it, man, these guys are gonna be something. I was probably one of those kids that you would say that about just because I've been around MMA so long. And um I feel like my life my I mean I wrestled in high school, I wrestled in college, had multiple surgeries, but I've stuck through it all. And but a kid from Hawaii and just a path, I'm on that path even with the adversity. So I mean that drive like I don't look if you look at that like as a kid, as one of those like younger generational um talents or like a generation talent below, like I thought that I was you could have said that about me um with the adversity, I so I don't I don't look at it like that, like as far as like why I'm here. But I feel like my life, like what I was exposed to MMA so long that it maybe it's an advantage of why I keep going, like I was just exposed to the MMA life when all this wasn't around. PFL, Bellator, like I grew up when there was no Bellator. I grew up when there was like Hawaii promotions were bigger than all these other like there were some Hawaii promotions that were way bigger than the LFA, like um or had way more meaning to MMA than what PFL had, because it was so infant at that time and so much more raw. So I mean that could be a reason why I keep going. That I've just seen uh this life at a way different era. So I'm grateful to have it to be in this spot. I'm grateful to be in this spot, but I think that's what drives me is like, man, I'm grateful to be here, but I know that this is nothing to where it's gonna be.
Yeah, and that should make everyone excited for anyone coming out of the Hawaiian MMA scene. But you're obviously a great role model, not only for your kids, but for the next generation of Hawaiian fighters. I think they have a great example in yourself to look up to. You mentioned, obviously being with Bellator and having been with, the UFC. Now that you're with the PFL, this will be your second fight under the organization. What are your feelings? You've been everywhere. What are your feelings towards PFL?
I don't know, still new, still it's kind of weird. I don't know. It's kind of weird. I've won, and luckily I've won in all three of promotions. I got to win in all three promotions. I've seen there's big differences in all the promotions, and um people can say whatever they want, but I've been to all three. So if you're a UFC, if you're a Bellator PFL guy, and you say like you've man, you love this promotion, and nothing is better than any promotion, wrong. Like, you're wrong. Um, I've seen them all. I fought multiple times in every promotion. The UFC is the beast. It's hard to compete with. It's just hard to compete with. They got everything down. They have it down. They have a lot of practice at this for years. And everybody's trying to. You don't mention MMA without your UFC. They're trying to, as a fighter, as a promotion. You try to model around the beast. You try to mimic the beast. So I mean, I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about any promotion or whatnot. But the UFC just has everything down to a T, and there's very they don't miss that much. And of course we all want to get paid more. We all want to get paid more. We all want to get compensated. Um, and we want to get compensated well. Their business models, everybody's business model is different. Um, but the game is still young, still so I mean, it's hard for us fighters to fight for what we want. Especially when the landscape always changing. Which not too long ago, like in perspective, did this happen with Strike Force being bought out, and then previously you got Pride being bought out. So I mean, you've seen this transition happen different. Just now, I'm in this transition. Other guys are in this transition. Musasi, Douglas Lima, big names are in this transition. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if any of maybe Musasi, he went through this before. With when he was with Strike Force, so he's seen this before. But for us, like, we don't know what to say. Like, for a guy like me, like, I didn't have a choice going from yeah, there was just, if you're gonna fight on the Bellator side or PFL side, I was, yeah, I don't know. There's very little um options, I would say.
Well,
That's what I was getting.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
do
I
you
know
want to
that
fight on Bellator side, PFL side? What makes you like? There was very little options,
it was just what you took was what was presented to you, and I know that obviously they're
kind of, for the most part.
yeah, they're putting you in fun fights for the fans to enjoy at least, and as long as you keep doing what you do, it's that's what we're all here for, right? To watch you
Right.
keep fighting, watch you keep winning, and that's obviously what you want to do. One thing I do want to say, you're a staple at Extreme Couture. I have the utmost respect for not only what he does inside the cage, but outside the cage, Coach Eric Nixick and all of your coaches. I can say, and I've said publicly firsthand, that during the pandemic, Coach Nixick had him and I had just met, through social media, and he was checking up on me more than I've ever had in this space. What does being a part of Extreme Couture's team mean to you?
Um, I think being a part of a team, Extreme Couture, I mean, it's big. It's big. I got a good group of guys that live in that gym, live that, meaning don't travel in and out. They they're from Extreme Couture. That's their home. We have a good group of guys that are there. We have a good group of guys at 45 in my weight class, all the way up. I mean, obviously you have the names of names up there. But it's good to be a guy in my weight class, and then also represent um my gym in the big promotions, the big three, the big four. Yeah, it means a lot. It means a lot to keep representing and keep improving. I think, yeah. yeah, I'm just glad that I get to represent my home well.
I know I asked you this going into fight week of the Bubba Jenkins fight, just kind of how Coach Nixick and all the coaches and the whole team there, it feels more like a family. And it's not about, the Instagram likes or anything. It's just we're here to work. And anyone who sees, any post on social media, they know, oh, that's a team. That's a driven team. And the coaches care just as much as you fighters care. How important is that to know that your coaches are as invested as you?
Oh, it's super important. I mean, it doesn't the all the way up to the travel, it doesn't feel nothing feels weird or I don't know, like everything makes me feel comfortable. Like I've from the whole process, training to travel to returning home to talking with my coaches outside the gym. Yeah, it's just it's I've got a good team, especially a team within a team that I have that that we're always in contact. I have yeah, I feel like I have a strong team, a team not only inside the cage but outside the cage for me. I think that it's big. I got Coach Eddie Baracco. Um, he's another big asset, to my career right now. Who quickly, like within the past few years, we've grown a really strong relationship in the ring, cage, and in the gym. But we you grow close with these guys. We're traveling together. Um they see us in a different perspective with our families there. They meet our other family members, our dads, our moms, grandparents. They see the way we deal with losses, or how we deal with losses, how our family is, there for us, wins, losses, and then just dating. I mean, our coach got kids, we got kids. Um, yeah, it's I mean, I'm grateful that like I don't have to always, or I have like coaches there for me fight week in the training room and everything. Like, I mean, I'm grateful that I don't have to pack up like and go with like two, three training partners to a fight. Like my coaches are there for me.
Yeah, it's obviously a great luxury to have. I won't keep you much longer. I do appreciate your time. I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's been far too long since you and I have talked. What should fans expect in Sioux Falls, South Dakota when you take on Pedro Carvalho?
I mean, like they expect every fight, a hard fought fight, smart, calculated, like true student, true, but also a gamer. I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel like I exhaust everything into every camp, and yeah, just somebody who's always there in the fight, meaning like attentive there, like what you said, like I'm on my own shit. I don't get withered, and get the job done again and I move on, right? Regardless of, I'm trying to get that 6 points, 5 points, 4 points, whatever, get a finish. But I'm there to win.
If it would have felt disrespectful for me to be like, you obviously want the finish because I know you want the finish. But all I'll say to anyone who watches this is Kai Kamaka wants to finish. You just heard it 6-5-4, however many points, it doesn't matter. Just watch him do his craft because that's my favorite part of watching any of your fights. So I didn't want to go, did you want the finish? Of course you want the finish. I know that. But I also know you won't go for the finish if it takes you out of your game plan because, like I said to begin, you just stay so focused at the task at hand. So, Kai, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time and opportunity to talk to you again, and all the best heading into Sioux Falls.
Thank you. See
Thank
you.
you.